my fun hat on. Personally, it's been a very interesting time to be a human being. The revolution is in the air, and I've been consuming really any content that comes across my page that is the least bit philosophical. I truly think that any think piece can be coined as philosophical. But truthfully, I have a very difficult time discussing how I feel with people right now. And I feel a lot. If you subscribe to the belief of astrology, I have a Cancer stellium. So there is a lot of feeling physically occurring in my body on a pretty consistent basis. But as I've grown up, I've been able to more notice it than act on it. I think that's kind of what happens when your frontal lobe develops one-on-one. You are really able to see your own feelings for what they are, which are, moments in your body. And you can choose how to respond to them. You can take a deep breath or you can react. And depending on the situation, depending on your life, how you live, how you choose to live, you'll do what you must. I was watching a video from, I think, Crave, which I'm pretty sure he used to make these videos, lip syncing to One Direction, and on Vine. I want to say it was Vine. It was pre-TikTok, right? And I remember then I was oh, such good energy. I just clocked, I was such good energy. And now he's kind of making philosophical-esque content. And he made this really good point that it feels like our generation was sort of thrown to the wolves in terms of the internet being the wolves. We grew up with this, and now we're called lazy and we're called obsessed with the phones and that's our issue for the older generations, is that we seem to be disconnected from the real world. And he kind of has this point that he always comes back to, if you wanted us to not be so disconnected, why did you let it happen? And I think that as I'm growing up and I'm realizing that I very much so have my own free will and I hold it very tightly, and that oftentimes the things that we resist, our resistance is stronger than our resilience, and our resistance to things is stronger than our own belief in ourselves oftentimes, because our resistance lies in these deep-rooted, oftentimes childlike beliefs that we've just kind of held for an extended period of time. And so the idea that, technology has always been something that I have had, that you have had, if you're a part of Gen Z. But I think it's such a wonderful tool because I've just been able to access such a variety of humanity. I get the variety of humanity every single day in my pocket. But what it does is it creates a generation that is so aware of itself. It creates nervousness, I think, for a lot of us. And if you're not able to conquer that nervousness and understand that the nervousness just comes from the truth that you really do have access to everything and anything, and you really do have the ability to do anything and everything, once you kind of move over that hurdle and see that more as a joyful opportunity as opposed to something to be scared of, it becomes a very different reality and it shifts. And I think that, honestly, I'm very grateful for my family and how I was raised and the people in my life, because I think that they have very true and pure hearts. And obviously we've all been kind of clouded and influenced by just, aspects of society like money and wealth and greatness and power, and there's corruption everywhere you look, and you have, again, the choice to react to that, ignore it, do whatever the hell you want with it. I'm very grateful to have the adults in my life, while they were raising me, those things didn't really matter to them. I mean, security mattered, I think, but connection and patience and love, honestly, to be so cheesy about it, mattered abundantly more than anything they could ever physically gain. And I felt from, a very young age that I was protected and provided for. And even though my family wasn't able to give me every single morsel that I needed, that's kind of like the point of evolution as a humanity is, I'm not expected to stay in the nest forever. And I've stayed at the nest for a pretty long time. I'm almost 25 years old. I'm 27 years old, Lizzie. I've got no money, no prospects. And I'm scared. I love that movie. I think that we have such a generous opportunity in front of us as a generation. And generous, I mean generous. Because if you pair the awareness and the lack of fear and the truth that a lot of us don't really know what tomorrow looks like, because everything, I think, politically, economically, is just moving way quicker and way faster than anybody ever expected it to. And I mean, what did you think was going to happen when you introduced literal devices like this? I mean, obviously, this was expected to keep us distracted and not informed, and that's why everything is kind of shifting, I think, because the people are being informed now rather than being distracted, and their little plan is going wrong. But what we have here is a very important and prominent opportunity as a generation to kind of, capitalize on this resource, right? This excess of information. If you could actually do good for humanity, if you could shift your life in a way that would make you happy, I truly think that your happiness, putting your happiness, and I don't mean buying a new house, I don't mean buying a new car, I don't mean happiness in the earthly sense, I mean like soulful. I am aligned with my purpose as a human being, right? Every day I am taking a risk towards the life that I want to live, and I am making and taking authentic steps toward the expression, the true expression of who I am, right? That's all you have to do every single day, is make a commitment to actually expressing yourself in the most authentic way possible. If that creates mess, it creates mess. Sometimes messes are made so that we can learn how to clean them up. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. If it creates conflict, it creates conflict. Sometimes conflict is created so we learn how to move through conflict, right? I think we have a wonderful opportunity generationally, not just Gen Z, but Alpha and everyone beyond us. I don't think it's limited to just Gen Z. I think Gen Z is just a good example of a generation being blamed for the circumstances that they were born into, which every generation is, the ones before and after them. I just don't, I understand why we separate and put us in chunks, but I don't, sorry, there's this kid that bikes by in our neighborhood all the time, and I can tell he's doing his practice for himself, like I have a morning ritual. I spend an hour by myself. It's a pivot, we'll come back. I spend an hour by myself. I just started doing this. I wake up, I do a meditation, I write in my journal. I just have my time with myself. What is happening up here? What is happening in here? What am I working towards? And I'm not trying to climb to the top of a mountain. I'm simply walking on the path of life, right? I think John Green said it. He's like, when you get to the top of the mountain, it's really lonely up there. you really only have a couple of people, really just yourself on the top of the mountain. The goal is not the top. The goal is not to climb to the top. The goal is to exist in a way that feels genuine and comfortable for you, right? Not all the time, but as much as we can. We need light and dark, there is balance. So I see this kid biking all the time. He has headphones on, and he's biking, and sometimes he's like bouncing up and down on the wheel. And I'm like, this kid, this is his time with himself. He's like, I gotta get out of the house, I gotta go do something, and this probably is some type of creative process for him. And I know that people aren't taking the time for themselves. I know that people are grasping for, I don't know, this feeling within them, this wholeness and this completedness that really can only be reached when you find it within yourself. But instead we just go searching. We're just searching and searching and searching and searching constantly. And the search is never done. And I think once you settle with the fact that you will be searching for who you are your entire life, but that is the joy, and that is the point, and that is the purpose. And we just have a wonderful opportunity in front of us. I mean, a lot of us are poor. So many of us are poor, like young people specifically. Because I think we see the world that adults are living in, adults older than us, and it just seems like a ridiculous facade. It seems like a ridiculous trick. Why would I want to be miserable? Like you look miserable. You don't have a soul. I don't see you within you. You know what I mean? You meet people, and if you've gone through any type of spiritual journey, or you've just gone through any type of like self-discovery journey at all, you can tell what people have not tried to even get to know themselves. And sometimes it's the people who express themselves the most. And I'll meet people and I'm just so baffled. But I mean, I'm sure people do that when they meet me. It's God, it's so cyclical. It's so cyclical. Either way, I know. I don't just believe it, I don't just think I know that as a society, we live in a society, if more of us were actually aligned with our own true expression, it would inspire other people to align with their own true expression, and it would just create a domino effect. I wrote something in my journal, actually. Let me find it for you. I hate editing, and I will not be editing this because I think that you have a sad excuse for patience, okay? I am, again, like I said, Cancer stellium. There is nothing I love more than waiting. I love waiting for things. I love when things take an absurd amount of time, because I know that time is really the only thing that heals. That's it. You just end up forgetting and moving on. This is what I drew, okay? This is what I made, and you can't read what it says, but this is you, okay? Your energy spreads instantly. Make sure it's good. Whatever you want from the world, whatever you want. There's not some trick. It's not complicated. Whatever you want. This is whatever you want. You are seeing this, not me. You're seeing me. You're consuming and perceiving me however you choose and decide to perceive and consume me. You know? My life is perfect because I say it is. No, it's not actually, but it is. Who's to say it's not? Anyway, obviously there's a lot of pain in the world, but I don't think that should stop anyone from believing in themselves. Love you very much.